there. Peabody in here.
Anything wrong with the Wayback Machine, Mr. Peabody?
Merely changing the fan belt, Sherman.
I guess we won't be going back into history then, huh?
Oh, on the contrary, my boy, we're all set to invade the city of Paris in the year 1874.
Who are we going to meet?
The eminent French author Jules Verne. I belted the fan belt into place, and in a twinkling we were hurtled back through time and space. The streets of Paris in those days were filled with horse-drawn carriages. Most of them moved along in sprightly fashion, but one was obviously getting nowhere.
Giddy up, Monsieur Horse.
That poor man is having trouble, Mr. Peabody.
That poor man, Sherman, is Jules Verne.
If you do not make me the feat, I shall be forced to deposit you in the nearest glue factory.
Trying to go somewhere, Monsieur Verne?
You bet your boots, monsieur. I am off to prove a theory.
Chateau theory, Mr. Verne?
Man or little one. I am trying to prove that one can go around the world in 80 days. If it can be done, then I shall write a book about it.
It's got to be done, Mr. Peabody.
And it shall be done, Sherman, but not in a horse-drawn carriage. Under my direction, we walked to the nearest office of the French Foreign Legion.
Bonjour, monsieur. You wish to enlist?
Yes, but only if we can do duty in Switzerland.
You are in luck, my friend. It just so happened that a detachment of legionnaires is being dispatched to the Alps to fight the Swiss Navy. By the way, how old is this little fellow?
6. Going on 7, though.
Bone, you just get in under the age limit.
5 minutes later, we were on our way.
But if we are in the Legion, how will we go around the world?
We won't be in the Legion long, Monsieur Verne. And we weren't. For no sooner did we arrive in the Alps than the war was called off and we were dismissed from the service.
Well, we got as far as Switzerland. Now what, Mr. Peabody?
That flag over there, Sherman, recognize it?
The Olympics.
Correct. Overriding Jules Verne's objections, we signed up for the downhill slalom run, the most thrilling of all skiing events.
But I cannot ski.
No matter, it's downhill all the way. The starter fired the gun and the three of us took off. 3 days later, we came to a stop in Venice, Italy.
Can we get some pizza, Mr. Peabody?
No time for that, Sherman. We have a schedule to adhere to. Our next stop, China.
But how do we get there from here?
Simple. We obtained positions as gondoliers and oared our way to the corner of 3rd and Venice. Luckily, the tide was ebb and we were carried out to sea.
7 days we have been adrift without food or water.
You think we have it bad? What about our passengers?
Hey, what's the matter for you? I'm telling my wife I'd bring home spaghetti.
You'll have to cable her that you'll bring home chop suey and lychee nuts instead. Land ho!
I must congratulate you, Mr. Peabody. You have got us all the way to China. But I'm afraid we are stuck here.
Mr. Verne is right. How are we going to get across the Pacific?
To anyone but a genius, the problem would have been insurmountable. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. When in Shanghai, get shanghaied. It was a beautiful crossing. Sherman worked as a cabin boy, Jules Verne wrote the captain's log for him, and I worked like a dog swabbing decks. With just 20 days left, we pulled into San Francisco Harbor and checked into the Golden Gate Gym.
Do they have rooms for the night here?
No, we're here seeking employment. See that sign?
Wanted. Sparring partner for John L. Sullivan, leaving for New York tonight.
What is a sparring partner?
Jules Verne found out. It was a rough trip, to say the least. But eventually we reached New York, none the worse for the experience. That is, except for Mr. Verne.
I cannot take much more of this. How many days left?
Exactly 1.
But gee, Mr. Peabody, it's impossible to go from New York to Paris in 1 day.
Nothing is impossible. I wasted no time in rushing us to the shores of the Hudson River.
Look, a rowing race is about to start.
Yes, but not without us. I knew that Yale had the fastest shell in the country and were heavily favored to defeat all competition. It was in this boat that we set ourselves.
Just a moment. You guys can't sit here.
No. How would it look if you threw away your mascot?
The Yale mascot is a bulldog.
Young man, there's a bit of bulldog in all of us. The race was fairly flew down the Hudson. That's when I took over as coxswain. Stroke, 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 stroke. 24 hours later, we rowed up the River Seine and walked ashore into the streets of Paris.
We did it. We went around the world in 80 days.
Bon, now I can go home and write the book.
Jules Verne did write the book and earned the plaudits not only of France but of England as well. In fact, they put him on display in the Tower of London.
Really?
Really. Day after day, he stood there with a crown on his head.
In the Tower of London, Mr. Peabody?
Why, of course, Sherman. That's where they always keep the crown jewels.